Hey guys, my name's Paige, and today we are going to be cooking a green vegetable torte with a millet amaranth crust. I love cooking this recipe during the fall-winter time because it's hearty and nourishing without being heavy. So let's get right into it. For the filling of this recipe, we're gonna start with some dark leafy greens, the first of which is gonna be kale. I like to purchase organic when possible, especially with leafy greens. And this is kind of not as fluffy of a type of kale, which I like. Next, I'm gonna take my collard greens. So this is one bunch of collard greens, which, I mean, in this case, it's about 5 stalks. Chop these green veggies. Next, also in the filling, are gonna be carrots. Now we're just gonna chop them in thin little pieces. Additionally, I'm gonna chop 1 full yellow onion. This recipe is also one of my favorites because it can kind of accommodate any diet type. If you're having people over for dinner, it's both vegan and gluten-free. It's also in a familiar format, so I think when you put anything in a pie, tart, casserole, people automatically think of it as comfort food or slightly indulgent, when really the ingredients themselves don't have to be indulgent, but I find if you put it in a format that people recognize, they're more likely to be adventurous with their ingredients. I am going to put a couple of cloves of garlic in there because I just can't help myself when it comes to garlic. So I'm gonna do 3 cloves, and then I'm just gonna take less than 1 tablespoon to start. I like to use as little oil as possible, at least to start. Not that it's bad, it's just, you know, highly caloric and fattening. So I'm using an organic coconut oil. Coconut oil is great to cook with because when it hits a high heat, it doesn't become carcinogenic like olive oil and other oils. So now I'm gonna take my onions and my garlic and I'm gonna put them in my large ceramic pan. I'm going to take a cup combined millet and amaranth and put it in a small pot. Then I'm gonna take 2 cups vegetable stock or broth, and I'm gonna put it on the burner at a high heat and cover it. Once I bring it to a boil, I'm gonna stir the millet and the amaranth in and then bring it down to a simmer until all of the liquid is absorbed and the millet and amaranth is fully cooked. Can take anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes, so you want to start this early. Now we're going to finish with the rest of the filling. I'm going to use one of my favorite ingredients, which is mirin, which is a Japanese cooking wine, and it's a little bit sweet, but it gives it a nice kind of flavor. Now my onions and my garlic are nice and soft and brown, and those are looking really, really nice. I'm just going to add my kale. So I stir that in, I'm gonna cover that, turn the heat up ever so slightly. And now I'm gonna just check on my amaranth and my millet again. And you do wanna stir periodically and so that it doesn't get stuck to the bottom. The parsley is actually gonna go in the crust portion of this dish. I'm gonna mix it in with the grains before I lay them over the filling. That is looking beautiful. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper to this. So I'm just gonna come over here and squeeze a little bit of lemon. So now I'm gonna make the thickening agent for the vegetables, essentially for the filling. You're gonna take 1 cup of water, put that into a small mixing bowl, and then I'm gonna take 2 tablespoons tamari, and then I'm also gonna take 1 tablespoon of arrowroot powder. This is gonna act as kind of a starch or a flour. I'm gonna take this mixture and I'm just gonna pour it over my veggies. Really nice there. Looks like these are done, and how I can tell is one of 2 ways. I want to make sure that there's a tiny bit of liquid at the bottom of the pan. You don't want it to be too dry nor too moist. Another way to tell is the carrots are going to be what needs to cook the most, and if I can take my spoon and get it through the carrot easily enough, then I know that they're done, which this looks like it is. Now I'm just going to fold this into my glass pan. Glass is really nice because then you can see all the beautiful veggies from the bottom. So now what I do is I just take this crust. I've had my broiler on and I'm gonna place this in the middle of the middle rack so that it cooks most evenly. And really that's just gonna be in there for 5 to 7 minutes depending on your oven. You just wanna get that amaranth millet crust browning a tiny bit on the top, and then you're ready to serve. So as you can see, the crust is just slightly browned and it came out really nicely. You don't wanna leave it in too long because you'll dry up the veggies, and you can just cut it like a pie. That tastes really good. So this is just a really beautiful dish. Like I said, you feel really light after you eat it, but something about it is just incredibly comforting and nourishing and a great way to get your greens in. So I hope you enjoyed today's recipe, and I hope you are adventurous and try it at home for yourself.